Let's zoom back. So we have our entry here, and I've got this path. This path is actually just painted texture. It's not a mesh or anything. So you just paint your... Let's pretend this path is a road. You just flatten out the area where your road is going, and then paint the texture of the road on the top of it in say Unreal, if you're using Unreal. But use the flatten tool in World Machine or View or whatever you're using to carve where your road is going. Just make sure the area where the road is flat. And that way you can just paint your texture in Unreal, the same way I've done here with the garden path. I don't want to... Yeah, that's the only way I can think of doing it. Now, if you're talking about a road going through a tunnel underneath of a mountain, that's something different again. Yeah, that's something different again. You're going to have to use a mesh in that instance if you've got a tunnel. Winter PG saying, I really want to see you making that kind of vegetation. That is sick. Thank you. Again, all of my previous streams are on Twitter. Sorry, not on Twitter. On Twitch under videos, under my videos section, or on my YouTube page channel at philipfair_phildust3d. All the links are below my Twitch page here. I upload all of my previous streams to YouTube and also under videos on Twitch. And you actually see me creating all of this in my past streams. That's what I was doing last week and the week before. Was placing all of my vegetation and doing all that sort of thing, texturing the terrain. Again, I'm going to turn on wind animation, but just briefly because OBS doesn't like it. So I'll turn real time on so that you can actually see that all of this actually moves. So it's all wind animated, and when we do our final cinematic, we're going to have a fly through. So everything will be moving in the wind. Crosswind is saying, yeah, what was boggling your mind was having the road be flush with the terrain and then adding details and bending textures. Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, bending a texture of a road can be difficult. To create ditches, broken parts of the road, dust, yep, okay. That's all done in the texture though, more than the that's more of a texture paint thing than anything else. You can still use the method I've described where you flatten out where you want your road to go. You could use a mesh if you wanted to, but I probably wouldn't suggest it. I'd suggest doing texture painting in a similar way to the way I've done the path here. So you have a texture of bitumen for the road, just black bitumen, grey bitumen, whatever colour you want to make it, that you paint in. Then you have a separate texture of dirt or broken bits of bitumen that you paint in sections along the side where the bitumen's broken. But you do all that with the texture. You don't do it with, you don't create it in the landscape. So it's not a mesh. It's all a texture stuff. And you can get away with making it look three-dimensional by either using a height map in Unreal, or even a normal map will work 9 times out of 10 anyway. So it's, yeah, more texture stuff though, not mesh. So broken bits of bitumen would be a texture painted on top of your normal bitumen in places. Again, I'm just going to turn off this real time here because it is interfering with OBS. I'm see if I can find an area here where I can explain it a bit better. All right, now let's look at the texturing I've done here on my terrain. And let's use a bit here that I haven't actually worked on yet because I still haven't textured up the middle. So we have our rocky texture here. If I jump into my paint tool, and I have some layers set up of different types of rock and stone for my landscape. I'm just going to pull down on my brush size because it's huge. Okay, so let's go with rock. Again, this is a new install of 4.16, so everything's defaulted back to normal. You see how I'm painting rock in, but it's blending in with the stone texture. It's hard to see. It's weight blended, so that means it's not completely replacing the rock. It's painting the rock in between the other rocks. If I go back to the mud, you can maybe see it a bit better. It's subtle, but this is a similar sort of thing. So say you've got your bitumen and you want to paint in like broken bitumen. Then you select your broken bitumen and you paint that in just on the sides around the rest of the normal bitumen. And it gives the illusion of being broken up. So it's all in the texture. That's what I'm trying to get across here. I know I'm not probably explaining it very well, but yeah, if you're doing it in Unreal, you create some layers of like bitumen, broken bitumen, dirty bitumen, and you paint those in on your texture along your road. So you fake it like that. You fake it all through a texture. And like you can see here, you can get some realistic looking broken sections with just a texture. So do it that way. Do it all in the texture. Oh, cool. I'm glad. I know I can get a bit tongue-tied and not explain it properly sometimes, but I'm glad you see where I'm coming from, what I'm trying to explain anyway. I'm just going to jump quickly back to Winter PT's portfolio because I just didn't finish checking everything out. I see you're doing some character stuff as well. Yeah, again, I can't look at this stuff. I can only look at still images, but I can see what you're doing here. This looks interesting. Dude, that is creepy. Really creepy. Nice modelling work. Maybe ZBrush work here, or Mudbox. Nice detailing. Creepy model. Again, though, nice detail work. It's freaky. Your portfolio looks great, Winter PT. Again, like I said, I like your texturing work. It's looking good. I love this model. I think that's great. And ZBrush, that should be Queen Elizabeth, yeah. I'm assuming you're not British. I think the British should... Oh, they may love it. It's freaky model. It's freaky. Nice detailing though. And ZBrush, yep. But that's what ZBrush was created for. I use ZBrush. It does the job really well. I don't like ZBrush's interface very much, but it certainly gets the job done. Your work is very nice. I love that model. I think that's outstanding. Really outstanding. Like I said though, it's all very nice. You've got a good variety of styles here. You've gone from realistic to painterly look. For game assets, you've done some detailed character work here, which is good to see. You've got shader going, which is good to see. Yeah, I know you can customize the interface. It's just that Scrubetti. I'm sure that's right, isn't it? Scrubetti, yeah. Yeah, I know you can customize ZBrush's interface, and I've actually got a plugin so that I can rotate around my model more like I do in Max, just using my mouse. It's just the pixel logic tend to hide, and this is something I don't like about algorithmic as well. They hide a lot of stuff they nest a lot of menus within menus, and I don't like that. That's the only thing I don't like about ZBrush's interface. Yeah, it's not clean. I like a really clean interface. And what I mean by clean is plain, simple. Like Substance here is pretty simple. Max is a better example, and this is why I use Max. I really like just a nice, clean-looking interface, and that's why I've actually preferred Mudbox's interface, but Mudbox isn't being developed anymore by Autodesk, so everyone's really forced to use ZBrush. Yeah, so it's just, and it's a very different interface from any other piece of software. That's all. I use it. I like ZBrush. It does the job really well. There's nothing like it. It's a great program. Just yeah, I just don't like the way they nest menus and menus, and they have weird names for some of their sub menus. But anyway, it is a great program. It's a program I use a lot, and you know, that's just me. A lot of people love one of the guys that pops into my channel loves ZBrush and doesn't like it when I say I don't like the interface, but because he loves it. So each to their own. I use ZBrush. I'm not fond of the interface, that's all. But since I have this plugin where I can rotate around my model using my mouse, more like I can in Max, it's much better for me. Yeah. Because you learn a way to do things in a 3D program, and when you jump into something that's a bit different, it can be a bit off-putting, and that's what I don't like. So the more I can do to change the new program to be more like the old program as far as the interface goes, the more I like it. But I'm not knocking ZBrush, guys. I love ZBrush. I use ZBrush. There you go. You know, I use Mudbox too. Not anymore though, simply because Autodesk are stopping development on it. Well, they're actually integrating it into Maya now. That's what Autodesk are doing. They're not actually killing it off, but they're going to kill it off as a third-party program, I think, and just integrate it all into Maya. That's Autodesk. They killed soft image or soft image, whatever you want to call it. That's just the way they work. Okay? It's a big company. They can do what they want. I still use Max. I've used Max for many years. Winter PT is asking what my advice is to go to get the next step. Okay, I forgot that you asked me about that before. My apologies. Okay, so you've got your portfolio going, which is good. You need to, looking at your portfolio, I see shaders, which is great to see. Shader development's important. If you're going to work for a games company, which I'm assuming that's what you mean, you want to go and work for a games studio. You've got a good variety of work, which is good. Like one thing I tell a lot of these guys is don't fill your portfolio full of guns and cars. That's not a good portfolio. Everybody does that. Everybody wants to make guns and they all want to make cars, and so all the portfolio is full of guns and cars. Don't think because you want to work for a game studio that that's what you should put in your portfolio, because that's not the way it works. Put a gun in, put a car in, but don't put 10 guns in and 10 cars in. So don't do that. Limit the amount of images you're showing in your portfolio to no more than 12. Even 12 is getting to be a bit much, because remember, these guys that are looking at your portfolio and that will hire you have a very small amount of time and a lot of portfolios to look at, so they're not going to want to look through 30 images. They're not going to do it. And what they're going to do if you send them 30 images in your portfolio is they're going to look at the worst one. They're going to skim through them, see one that they don't like, and check that out, because they're more interested in your worst work than your best work if you're going to overload them with images like that. So limit the amount of images to something reasonable, preferably under 10. Only show your best work and try and show a variety of work. I'm not sure how many you've got here. Well, we've got 4, 6, 8, 10. You got 12. 12 is okay. I wouldn't go more than 12 Winter PT. So you're showing a variety of work, which is good. You're not just doing all guns or all cars or anything like that. So we've got some nice physically based character work going on here. We've got some painterly, more 3D modeling going on here for game assets. He's showing a shader. He's showing some detailed modeling, which is good. again, some game assets, which is great. Looking at your portfolio, I'm assuming you want to work in a games company. That's my assumption based on what you're showing me here. You're showing me a lot of game models, and that seems to be the point of your portfolio here is to show games related stuff. And so I'm assuming you want to work in a game studio. Yep, cool, that's fine. All good. Like I said, good variety of work to be showing. Because he wants to work for a game studio, he's showing a lot of game models, which is great, because, you know, there's no point filling your portfolio up with sculpts like this if you want to work for a game studio making games, because while it's nice that they can see that you can do that, you're not going to be doing that making a game. You're going to be working on stuff like this, or this, or this, or this. They're not so... While it's nice that you can create detailed models like that, sculpt them up, and it's good to show it in your portfolio. Don't fill your portfolio with that sort of work if you want to do game stuff, because they're more interested in game models, and that's what Winter PT has done here. So that's great. He is showing a couple of things, physically based material work, which is good because it's used in a lot of games companies now. They're doing a lot of physically based material work for game models, so that's great to see. He's got his knife here, which is fine. That's fine. And some of these more painted models, which is good to see as well, because each game studio is going to work on a variety of different games. They're not all going to do realistic stuff like this. The last game I worked on was Warner Brothers, for Warner Brothers, the Looney Tunes game, and it was more like this. So the fact that you can create that sort of thing is good to show. I do more realistic stuff like this, not character work, but realistic modeling work now. But looking at your portfolio, the number is okay. I wouldn't add much more. If you want to swap something out for another model, I'd do that as opposed to adding more images to your portfolio. But from what I see, it looks great. Like I said, you're showing a variety of work. You're showing some shader work, which is good because, again, if you're working with the Unreal Engine, you're going to have to do shading. You're going to have to create shaders. So it's good to see. You will find, if you work for a games company, they have technical artists that will help the 3D artists to create shaders that they need. So it's less important. Yeah, no, well, you only want to keep your best models. That's a good point. You only show your best work because your best work is only as good as the weakest thing in it. And what I mean by that is the worst model in your portfolio is the one that the art director is going to remember. So keep that in mind. Don't show mediocre work. Don't mix bad work with good work because they're going to remember the bad work. And you're saying, Winter PT is saying you're thinking about making an environment realistic scene. Well, do it. Do it for sure. I mean, create something in Unreal. Unreal is free to download and use, as you guys know. So I suggest you use Unreal. You can create some nice looking realistic stuff in Unreal. And the fact you're using a game engine, if you want to work in games development, is just going to be a benefit for you in the long run anyway, because studios are going to see that you know how to use the tools that are available to make something. But don't feel that you have to. You can use Eon View as well, like that's what I use for work, to render out some nice environment images. And remember guys, you can download a PLE, Personal Learning Edition of Unreal, of Eon View as well from their website, if you want to try their program out. But Unreal is a great tool to use. If you want to get into games development, make something in Unreal. That way you can make a video and put it on YouTube to show for when you apply for jobs as part of your portfolio. It's always good to have a website. You've got an ArtStation set up, which is great because a lot of studios will want to click on a link to see your work. So having a website or an ArtStation page set up, only showing the best images, the best models that you've created, not the mediocre ones, only the best ones. Don't go overboard on the number of models you're showing, so no more than 12 generally. And creating an environment in something like it doesn't have to be a game, it can just be an environment in Unreal. It doesn't have to be like this, it doesn't have to be tree lined and all that sort of thing. Any sort of environment, any sort of model in Unreal that you can make a video of, maybe moving around in, and put on YouTube as something else to show a game studio, that's a good way to go. And the fact that you're using a game engine will show them that you know how to use the tools, and they can see exactly what you can do with it. So I would advise, download Unreal, it's free. I mean, you know, you can't get better than free, and it's a great program. I mean, take it from me, somebody who's worked in games development and worked with some really horrible engines. I'm not talking about Unreal, I'm talking about other stuff. I bitched about it before on stream. Gamebryo. I used to have to work with Gamebryo, which doesn't exist anymore. The company went belly up. And it's the same thing that Fallout 4 is based on. It's a mangled version of Gamebryo that Bethesda created, that they worked on and improved. But the underlying engine is still Gamebryo. So yeah, Skyrim and Fallout 4 all use Gamebryo. I'm calling it Gamebryo. And it's terrible to work with. It's a terrible, terrible engine. It's awful. If you're an artist trying to make a game in Gamebryo, it's just a nightmare. Whereas Unreal, on the other hand, is just a dream to use. The tools are wonderful. Epic Games really know how to make nice stuff for artists. And when you do that, then that's what helps you make a great game, because the artist isn't constrained. They can use the tools to make exactly what they imagine, instead of having to fight the engine like you do with Gamebryo, or did with Gamebryo. But don't feel, Unity is another option as well. Now, I haven't used Unity myself, but I know a lot of guys do, and a lot of guys love it. I'm sure it's a great engine as well. So if you don't want to do Unreal, then do Unity. I think they're both free. I think Unity's free. And again, of course, Unreal is free so long as you don't make anything commercial, and even if you do, then you've only got to pay Epic a 5% royalty on your sales, so it's pretty reasonable, considering that this engine cost millions upon millions of dollars to actually lease years ago if you wanted to make a game. So you're getting a really good deal. Or the CryEngine as well, yeah. The CryEngine can be a bit more difficult to use than Unreal. It's a great engine. It makes some beautiful environments with the CryEngine. I just find it a bit more fiddly to use than I'm more. Maybe it's just because I'm used to Unreal, because I've been using Unreal for years. So. Crosswind says you played with Unity. You think Unity's real strength is in their asset store? Unreal have their asset store too. Yeah, they are. Unreal have their marketplace. It's probably not as big as Unity's marketplace, but it's getting there. The only reason it's not as big is because Epic Games vet everything before it goes to the store. They have they get their community to vote on what they want in the store, and that slows things down a lot, which is why I don't sell my work on Unreal Marketplace. I sell my models on the Creative Market and on Cinetech Media and on Eon View's website, Cornucopia 3D. But I don't sell stuff to Epic Games through their marketplace just because of their vetting process. It's too fiddly. But it's getting there. They've got a good range of stuff on their marketplace. WinterPC says, I think the material editor in Unreal is really hard. You think the material editor in Unreal is really hard because you can make everything there? Well, that's true. A material editor is a big part of. I'm assuming what you mean by you're talking about the shader stuff. So let's see. Let's have a look at the glass material. You mean this thing? It's very powerful. The blueprint is actually very powerful too. You can do a lot with blueprints. The material shader though, yeah, it can get complicated. I see you've got a shader there going that's pretty complicated though in your portfolio. Yeah. Looking at that shader tree you've got going in your portfolio, it's pretty complicated too. And they can get very this is a nothing compared to some of them. Some of them can get incredibly complicated. True, you can do a lot through the material with materials in Unreal. That's one of its strengths. And the other strength, of course, is the blueprints here, because they're very powerful as well. So materials and blueprints are really the gems in Unreal because they're so powerful. But it's not just that, it's the fact that the engine's lighting. And lighting is really important in anything, whether it's rendering or game engines. Having really nice lighting really helps. I used to say to the guys when I worked in games development, you can make, for the game studio, you can make a really crap model look really great with the right lighting. So even if your model is rubbish and your texturing is rubbish, if you light it correctly, it can look wonderful. So just keep that in mind, you know, even if you're not the best texture artist or you're not the best modeler, if you light the thing correctly, it'll look great. So lighting is vitally important. It's one of the most important things in anything, and that's another reason why I really like the Unreal game engine, because the lighting that they have is just amazing. And now the graphics cards are getting so powerful, and games consoles are so powerful, well, much more powerful than they used to be when I was working in games. When I was in games, it was more Xbox 360 and PS3. Now with the PS4 and the Xbox One getting much more powerful, you can just create some amazing stuff. We're getting close to photorealistic now. Eventually it will replace rendering like V-Ray or Arnold or Mental Ray. All those renderers will eventually, I think, be replaced by real-time games engines like Unreal. That's my opinion. That's where I think everything is headed. It's headed towards real-time now. And they're getting pretty close. I mean, yeah, they're not there yet, but they're close. They're getting really close. So yeah, pardon me. So yeah, download Unreal and play with it, because you can create some amazing stuff. For sure. But your portfolio is looking great, Winter PT. Really nice. Alright, that's right, we were working on our windows, weren't we? I got a bit distracted. Thank you again for showing the portfolio and allowing me to show it on stream. I'm happy to look at any work you guys are doing. I like to show it on stream because I want to encourage more people to do 3D, but if you're not comfortable showing me stuff on stream, send me an email to phil@phil.3d and I can check it out off stream if you just want my opinion on anything that you don't want the world to see. Because remember, not only the people watching my Twitch channel now, all these videos get uploaded to YouTube. So yeah, if you're not comfortable having your work shown to the world, then just send me an email. Did I export that or not? I can't remember. I don't think I did. Never mind. If we did, we'll do it again. Looks like I did. Yes, I did. Okay. Now the question is, did I import it into Unreal? I don't think I did. I'll actually have to change the material on that rectangular window as well. I forgot to do that before. So let's do that before I forget. I just need to swap out material I've already created here. There we go. And I'm going to have to do the same with that new model I just brought in. I probably will end up changing the texture on this, even though we're never going to get a camera that close to it. I've been changing the texture. I've been improving the texturing on all the other models from the UDK version I created a long time ago, and I think I may as well continue doing that. So at some stage I'll take these frames into Substance Painter and I'll retexture them. But it won't affect what we're doing here because it just means I have to swap out the material on the mesh. Everything else will stay the same, so nothing else has to change. We can work on our model and then just swap the material out later. So let's pull in that larger square window. And let's pull in our window glass again. Where is my window glass? Oh, there we go. Again, it would be easier for me to do this in the front or top viewport, but I like to do it here this way because you guys can get a bit more of a visual look at it. It's really boring doing it in wireframe. Let's scale this up to fit our frame.
Just because you had the last word doesn't mean I won't get stronger.
Window pieces, thank you. I think I need the piece. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but certainly doing an environment would be good. A good addition to the portfolio. But like I said, you've got a good variety of work going on. So a nice environment piece is probably a very good idea. Just to help round out your portfolio a bit more. Just making sure our glass is actually sitting within our frame there. Yeah, I will end up retexturing the frame. We'll do that next week though when I'm on stream. Let's create a blueprint of both of these now. We'll call it LRG Rec Window Front Prefab. Okay. And let's move that up and place it in our window here. Again, we're going to have to scale it because remember we scaled our original building, so the windows are going to be a little smaller than they should be. I'm just going to get it into near where the position is so I can get my scale correct. You got to hit the road, Crosswind. Well, thank you for popping in. You've got to be up for work in the morning. Cool. Well, I hope you do pop back again. Like I said, I stream on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday at 5 p.m. I won't be back on tomorrow though. I've got some work to do for the studio, but I'll be back next week on Monday at 5 p.m. Thanks for popping in and get a good night's sleep. And yeah, and thanks for popping into chat as well. It's always great when I chat to you guys. Helps me know that there's somebody out there watching. So thanks for popping by. And thank you for following the channel as well. It's I turned autosave off, but I installed a new version of 4.16 this morning and I forgot to turn it back off again. I turn autosave off on all the on everything that I work in. Do show some pics. That'd be great to see, Crosswind. I'll see you later. No, I love looking at the work you guys are doing. Like I said, that's why I'm on Twitch. I want to encourage you guys to do 3D, so I love seeing any work you guys do. No matter what your skill level is, you don't have to be great at texturing or modeling like Winter PT does. I just want to see anything that you guys are working on. Just going to rotate that around a little bit. Looks like we might be just a bit off this way, and maybe just a little bit bigger. All right, let's copy that to the back of the building. I'm just going to rotate it 180 degrees before I forget. Okay, just one more little rotation. And that should be good. Okay, we may actually leave it there for today, guys. I do want to thank you guys very much for hanging out with me and for watching. Normally I would be streaming tomorrow on a Wednesday, US time. But I've got a lot of work on for the studio at the moment that I've got to get done. So I'll be back on again on Monday next week at 5 p.m. in the US Pacific. That's 10 a.m. in Australia, 1 a.m. in the UK, and yep. If you're not sure what that time is in Pacific and you're not in the US, you can go to my website and check out my social media link here. It has a conversion to Pacific time for you, so you know when I'm live. Do remember though, I do post to my Twitter page at PhilDoes3D just before I go live, so it'll tell you the current Pacific time here if you're not sure. And I always stream at 5 p.m. And I post to Twitter at PhilDoes3D before I go live, or when I'm live. So keep an eye on my Twitter page at PhilDoes3D if you're not sure. I will be back on again tomorrow at 5 p.m. I won't be back on again tomorrow. I normally would be. I'll be back on again on Monday next week at 5 p.m. Again, I do want to thank you guys very much for hanging out and for watching. I want to thank Winter PT for showing his portfolio on stream and allowing me to show it to everyone else. And also I do want to thank you guys too for following my Twitch page. So thank you, Crosswind and Winter PT. thank you, Scribetti, for telling me about my music volume. And so thanks again, guys, for hanging out and for watching. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I will be back on again, as I said, on Monday next week. That's Monday US time at 5 p.m. Hopefully I'll see you guys then. And have a great weekend, guys. See ya.